Security guide.
Every couple of years, the government comes after guns, private guns, whether it's security guns, whether it's civilian guns, but they come after guns. It's either they try to amend the Firearms Control Act, or they, try to put certain regulations on certain types of firearms. This is just the second most recent attempt that, it used to happen every 2 to 3 years. It's now happening a lot more frequently. But it's an attack on private firearm ownership. What they are trying to do is put it back in the hands of SACITA, which is a government, obviously, entity.
So, Mark, take us back to when you started Firearms, and how did you get into it? A little bit back in when you started out growing up.
Geez, man, a little bit. I'm going to take you a lot back to my first memory of gun-related stuff was, I think I picked up a stick. Must have been about 4 or 5 years old, and I remember that I pretended that there was a gun.
Okay.
And from there, started wishing for gun toys for Christmas and whatnot, and always just had an affinity for firearms.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Belleville-Durbanville area.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of where I grew up. Went to high school at Fairmont High in Durbanville, and then after school directly went into the gun field.
Is it so? When was the first time you think you remembered shooting around?
So shooting an actual gun, I think I was about 12 years old, and I shot a shotgun. We did a bit of clay pigeon shooting on a farm, and before that, I hadn't ever shot a gun because it wasn't like I grew up in a gun family. My dad was never really a gun guy. He had a pistol, but it wasn't like we went shooting every weekend. It was like I'm the only one in the family that's like a gun guy, if I can put it to you like that.
Okay. So basically, when you started out, so it's not like you learned it from your father, or you weren't into. And you weren't affiliated to any other gun clubs or your family that you took you to.
Not at all. I think so. That was about my first proper gun experience was at 12 years old, and then I think I was maybe about like 13 or so. It was like the next year we went to a show in Paul where it was like an outdoor show, and they had clay pigeon shooting as an activity. And I, obviously being I loved guns and I loved the idea of them. I said, listen, I want to have a bash. So I shot, I think it was 5 shots. I hit all 5, and the guy said, listen, geez, bro, you can shoot the shotgun. Gave me a card for a clay pigeon shooting club, Valley Gun Club, which we can maybe talk about just now because I did a lot of shooting and competitive shooting and growing up there in the club. But, my parents were open enough to be like, shit, he's got talent. Let's see where this goes. So I remember that my mother took me to go and meet these people at the Valley Gun Club. It was a long drive around. We went here and there, and we couldn't find the place. Eventually, we found the place. They were closed, but we spoke to the manager at the time, Neil Rousseau, and he said I should come back the next weekend and chat to a guy called Drew Harrington. And basically, Drew took me under his wing, and within a year, I was a South African junior champion for ATA and DTL trap. And then I got sponsorships and really started shooting competitively, started winning a lot of competitions. And I think that kind of set me up for, my ventures later on in life, because then that got me, the opportunity to go work at a gun shop directly after school. Neil Rousseau, the guy that was the manager of Valley Gun Club, later went to go work at Safari Outdoor, and that's basically he put my name forward when they were looking for a junior salesperson. I got offered the job. I was doing pizza delivery at the time.
Okay, so your parents never advocated for, you need to go study, go get your degree, and the normal cliche type of.
There wasn't really pressure from their side. I'm going to be honest. I actually applied to SAPS twice after I left school. I really, really wanted to be in flying squad. That was my dream.
Okay, so you always wanted to be somebody with firearms.
Exactly, man. Always, so since a young age. So I applied to SAPS twice. Didn't hear anything back. So I was like, okay, well, what's the closest thing? So I actually studied law through UNISA. Passed my first year. Hated sitting behind a desk.
Wow, but it's just something that's coming to my mind. It's like me growing up, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So it's like I know one of my other friends, he always wanted to be a cricketer. So he just plays cricket and just had that one focus.
Yeah,
I think a lot of youngsters don't have that. that one drive passion. It's
Yeah.
just because you sometimes think of, like, you want to do this, you want to do that, then you want to be, you trying to sometimes please your parents maybe want you to do this certain thing, society wants you to do that, and sometimes you don't have your own identity. So for me, I only found it a bit later, that I want to be in security and being a businessman. But that's down to you. So after school, you went straight into a gun shop. So you never really studied much, or you did. How did that transition?
So basically, I was studying part time. I got offered a job at Safari Outdoor as a junior salesperson. I stayed with them for about 5 years. I was, I was a safari man at heart. Got offered a lot of jobs and stuff while I was there, but I always, said no.
The safari with the
Safari Outdoor.
is that the one where they based?
Jeez, bro, they got a couple of stores now. They're
So
a
which one were
massive
you at?
company. I worked at the Stellenbosch shop and the Rivonia store. I helped open up the Rivonia store with the shotgun section and whatnot.
Okay.
And back when it was the original owners, Willem Immelman, Sam Kalbrick, and the guys, I was super, super loyal to them. Said no to a lot of
So
other,
in that time,
yeah.
the clientele, like, what sort of demographic and what sort of firearms were they buying, and like the customers that come in, was it more like hunter based, or is it more guys that was carrying a personal arm, or was it, what did you pick up back then?
Sure, man. Look, I left them about 9, 10 years ago, so it's a while. We've been doing a couple of things since then. But if I can remember back, it was like a lot of hunting stuff, like a lot of hunting rifles that I used to sell. But I used to also sell a lot of more like tactical firearm stuff. So a lot of ARs, semi-auto shotguns, sport shooting guns. I must say, like of late, it's a lot of self-defense stuff. I mean, it's a lot of self-defense stuff, and I think that people are definitely starting to take their safety and security into their own hands. So we've got guys from all walks of life, demographics, all colors and creeds,
Is this now?
women, men. Now, yeah. So there's been like a shift that I've seen. Obviously now we are partnered with Gunnery Arms and Ammo, and they definitely do a lot more self-defense, tactical type of guns. We obviously do a lot of tactical training, self-defense training. You still got your hunting guys. Definitely, it's a massive thing in South Africa.
So is it only sort of, like, I know the demographic that's into hunting? How does one, like, we will move into the tactical, but I'm just want to focus, give shout out to the hunters.
Yeah.
How, because I know a lot of my guys, people that I know in the other parts of the country, because the people come down and they hunt, and it's a big thing.
Yeah.
They always tell me that you need to come hunt with us and whatever. I was like, it's like not something that you just get into. So how does one, like, get the appetite, or if you want to now start into this hunting and going to one of these game reserves in South Africa?
Sure. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can either, if you've got friends or family that is in the game, they go hunting once or
Rustenburg,
twice a year.
that's where the guys are from.
Go with them. Go with them. When they invite you next time, say, you know what, I'm going to come. Go under their wing. They'll kind of show you the rope, show you the etiquette, show you what, like the do's and the don'ts. And then you'll build up your own connections where you can then take somebody the next year, for example, to the farm. So definitely just go with people that hunt already. If you don't have those people in your life, reach out to an outfitter, reach out to a hunting company. They will offer you a PH, a package, a bucky, a day rate. They'll basically, show you exactly what to do. They'll get you onto the animal. You tell them, what you're looking to shoot for the weekend or whatever it might be, and they'll make sure that you, to a large degree, get what you there, what you came for. They'll cater for you. Think of it as like, like a weekend away to like the Kruger Park, but you get to shoot animal as well.
And if you have any experience?
Yeah. So I definitely hunt when I can. Once again, it's not really like a family thing. It's just something that I believe in. I think it's a lovely way to get the best meat.
How far range are you shooting the animal? Like, what's the furthest distance you've shot?
Jeez, man, the furthest I've shot was probably. Look, I don't take massively long shots. I like to take shots that I know that I can hit. I think anything past like 300 is
Wow,
it's
300. It's
hectic.
like
300. Look, you get to know a specific rifle, so this is also a big difference between like shooting with somebody else's gun and shooting with your rifle. You kind of develop a relationship with it. So you take it to the range, you put in the work. You don't just pick up a rifle and shoot 300 meters. I do prefer like walk and stalk hunting, where you're typically shooting closer ranges. There's a farm in Colesberg that I've hunted at several times, and there like we'll go. It's hard work. We're walking the mountains, and you're climbing up a ridge, down a ridge, up a mountain, down around a mountain for like mountain reedbuck and stuff. But
I heard
it's
this.
challenging, but it's
Have,
lekker.
have you heard this one podcast? I don't know. I must get to the name. This guy every weekend he goes with his bow and arrow and he hunts.
I'm gonna say I think it's Outdoors with Travis.
Yes, yes,
From
yes.
Travis. So Travis actually went to
Yeah.
school with my wife. I
Okay.
saw him up at Huntex now. Hell of a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, bow hunting
Yeah.
is a completely different kettle of fish,
Yeah,
my
I'm
bro.
saying.
It's a special person that
Yeah,
can bow hunt.
I'm saying that's like I don't know how they do that.
It's
That's
like
like
caveman shit. That
yeah. I think they
yeah.
just need to get that walking Mount Everest, and it's like taking the mind to the next level. It's all about how far you can push the boundaries
But
of the mind.
super rewarding. I mean, there's a concept that it's the challenge and the hard work that you put in that dictates the reward.
100%. Yeah.
So I definitely subscribe to that way of thinking.
No, okay, cool, man. So okay, so cool. So from there, you finish school, and then you just in the gun shop, and then so take us. What made you want to now obviously start your own business? Whereas and and from there, how did that come about?
So I think I've always been like entrepreneurial by nature. I used to buy and sell like sports paraphernalia when I was in school, and I think my first little business I started, I was geez, how old was I? Maybe like 10 years old. I would buy sweets, package them into like little packets, and sell them to my neighbors. Mark Sweet Planet was the name of that
Nice,
first
nice,
little
nice.
business. So I've been working since like the age of 16 part time. So I've worked in factories. I was a cashier at Spar. I did quality control for a company. I did pizza delivery, managed the pizza store. So I did all of these jobs before Safari Outdoor. So I was always working. I was always, interested in making my own money and making things happen. I think the push came where Safari Outdoor had a corporate restructuring, where there was corporate guys that came in and changed it from a family style business to like a corporate style business, and that didn't really
Okay, yes.
kind of because
With your value system, yeah.
yeah, kind of, I mean, I was there because I wanted to be there. Like I said, I had many opportunities that I passed up with the old guard. So I just decided, you know what, I think that I understand the corporate structure, but it's not for me. So I left. I helped out a company called Clay Pigeon Adventures for a year. And I think the intention was always to kind of do my own thing. I mean, I had the knowledge, I had the drive, I had the contacts, and then it was just a leap of faith, basically. I think at the end of the day, leaving Safari, helping out Clay Pigeon was like a step out. And then, when it was time to pull the trigger, I mean, I started with very, very little money or anything like that. But it was a leap of faith that I knew I could do it, and I just had to better myself and quit. And all of a sudden, I was unemployed, and you got to jump off the cliff and hope your parachute opens.
100%. That over there, that mindset that I always tell the guys, yeah, it's like if as an entrepreneur, myself and included, is that you basically you are in air, you're jumping out, and you need to basically build the plane while you actually in flight.
Yeah,
Because if you don't manage to actually build this plane to keep in flight, you are gonna crash.
100%.
And you're running out of a timeline. So it's basically, yeah. Do you like the security of a paycheck, or do you like the uncertainty of a profit and the unknown?
Yeah.
And most people don't like to be in the unknown, because generally what I've noticed is that people that study, that's very educated, they don't like to go into things that they can't control and it's unknown. And an entrepreneur, it is totally in the unknown. You don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if people's going to like your product. You don't know if some big guy's going to marginalize you out. So to take that risk, you actually have to, I sent something now on my WhatsApp. It's like You're looking in the mirror. You actually a cat, but when you look in the mirror, you have to see a lion.
Yeah, big time.
You actually have to be delusional
Yeah,
to a degree.
a little bit crazy.
You have to be a little crazy because you actually not that lion,
Yeah.
but you have to have courage to show that
You
you're
know
not
that you can be.
that you can be, and that's what and that's why I like applaud you. You know the young entrepreneurs, especially South Africa, Cape Town. So, what made you come up with the name Gun License? Like, how did that come about? And
It's a very good question. So we didn't start out as Gun License. So the registered name of our business is Gun Portal Pty Limited. So when I started the business, we were called gunportal.net, and we sold everything. And we would sell you holsters, guns, ammo, a hunting package. I'd service your car if you paid me enough money. We cast a very wide net because I started the business with like no money. So,
Yes.
it was a matter of, good friends and clients that, supported me and came with me. They'd say, okay, listen, we want X product. I would need to take a deposit, purchase the product, get it for them, and deliver it to them. Obviously, the service was top notch because I'd come to drop it off at your house or whatever it might be. But I approached a couple of gun shops that I had relationships with, and Carl from Gunnery was the first one to basically say, yes, your idea makes sense. We'll facilitate your guns and ammo sales. We'll set you up here at our shop, and basically, you can sell your products.
What year was that in?
That was 2017.
2017.
2017. So we partnered up with Gunnery and Carl, and we still partners to today. So he's got 100% in his business. I've got 100% in mine, and then we've got a couple of small interests where we've partnered together. We work incredibly well together. We've got mutual respect, and we just work very, very, very well. There's no gray areas with us. We know exactly where we stand, and I think that's why we have managed to work now for coming on 8 years together like this. And I think it was maybe 3 years in, we both started to grow quite rapidly, and we thought, listen, just to keep the gray area out, let's draw a line. You do products and like the physical sales and stuff. I'll stop doing that, but then I do all of the licensing. We split the training academy, so we basically know exactly who's doing what. And the nice thing there is a client can come in and get everything under one roof. So we then decided to rebrand to gunlicense.co.za. I think we chose the name because it's self-explanatory. What do? We do gun licenses. It's like cars.com,
No, I just want to make what you're saying, and it's the same sentiment that everybody experiences. What you mentioned is that when you started out, you say yes to everything. The reason why we all say yes to everything, because what's the most important thing? You need sales, you need revenue to keep the candle burning, to keep the wheel spinning, because if the wheel don't spin, you're out of business.
Yeah.
So you have to do whatever. But then as you get a little bit more momentum and you get more traction, people see what you're about. Because ultimately, when people invest in you or come back to you, they're actually coming back to you as a person. What service you gave them, how you made them feel. Are you credible? Because ultimately, for me, if I'm going to pay a gun license or pay anybody, the only thing that I want to know is, do you people care about my issue? Or am I just a number for you? Am I just somebody that you're just trying to extort or just want some make some money, but you don't care about me? And what people don't understand is that you can't fake that.
Yeah.
There's no way of faking that. It's the rule. Like this book that I read years ago, The 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People.
I've read it as well. I was commenting on some of the books on your shelf over here. I've read.
No, this is still
I love it.
This is still some of them, but he speaks. Stephen Covey speaks about the law of the farm, that you have to lay the seeds, do your work, and then in a year's time you will reap the crops. There's no way of overwatering the seeds and doing everything over a few periods and expecting green crops, because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And most people don't have the patience, and that's all. That's all what we're trying to tell. Our people, or try to inspire other people, that just take the leap, take the jump. If you're unhappy with your current job, if you're unhappy with your situation, find something with the internet and with what's happening now. There's no excuse. It's either if you're complaining, make a change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I salute you for that. So yeah, okay. So coming back to your gun license, so you formulated then from that point, how did you manage your like growing your brand from there?
Sure, man. So I think the fact that it's a passion of mine definitely helps. I don't feel like I get up in the mornings and got to go to work today. It's I genuinely like what I do. I genuinely enjoy what I do, and I think especially in the early days, I was doing everything. I was a one man show for a long time. So I would kind of be running a class. My phone would ring. I'd have to excuse myself from my students, answer this, send a quick email, go back to my class. A client would walk in. I'd have to go down and give him his holster or whatever he ordered, back to class. So it was definitely a one man show for a while, but I loved it. And as we got more traction, we
So
did a bit of social media and stuff as well.
so at that time you were already a PFTC
I
instructor,
was a PFTC instructor at that
and
point. Yeah, I
and
did that I think I did that in 2017. Like as
so
I kind
all
of joined.
all your training you did the same around about the same time.
Around about, and it was actually a funny thing. So I didn't get into it thinking, hey man, let me start firearm training. It was actually Carl that pushed me and said, listen bro, like you should really do it. And at that point I think it was going to take just about all the money that I had to my name.
I don't know. Well, now
It was
apparently,
another leap of faith,
I mean, like
so
now, I think if you want to become a firearm instructor, there's like close to like 25. I mean, that's ex ammo or with ammo, and then I know it could go up to about 30 if you're into high
yeah,
firearms.
yeah.
So it's costly, and
That
then
is
also there's no guarantee you're gonna
That's
pass.
a big thing. And I mean, if that's all the money that you have, now it's like, well, do I buy more stock to flip, or do I, double down on that? And, luckily, Carl gave me a positive push back then. And I mean, that's like our main business now. That's what it's what we're known for. And
Yes,
really passionate about it. I love firearm training. I love empowering, civilians is
definitely.
our niche is civilians. We do a bit of security here and there. But mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, that's who we want to empower.
No,
And that's
it
what we're
comes
doing.
across. I mean, if anybody watches your social media, I mean, you're really passionate about. And I mean, I think that one video that you watch, I just bought this gun, and then what's the guy that you always mention his name when you're buying a new gun? That's
Um,
Soros. That
George Soros.
yes,
Shout out to the Soros family. If I ever go missing or am killed mysteriously,
yes.
it was them.
Is it because you're always mentioning this? I was like, okay, I'm gonna go shoot this gun. I just like, okay. And then it makes me also like, I also need to go shoot some rounds. So you are actually inspiring us to actually go
Yeah.
shoot more rounds.
So I think it's yeah. So I developed something called the gun game a while ago. So whenever a politician or an authoritarian type person, somebody that if left to their own devices, they would have you, working a pickaxe in the potato fields,
Yes.
while they sip champagne in Gucci suits, laughing at you and your family while you're there. Anytime that somebody tries to take power away from you as an individual, and the government says that you don't need a gun, buy another gun.
Yeah.
That's the best way that you can kind of combat it. And yeah, it's
Love it.
a successful game.
Sucks. Okay, so you studied your PFTC. You passed same time, or
So I was shooting along. I've been shooting a lot. So yeah, I passed first time.
and your level you were on
Advanced.
advanced.
Yeah,
Wow.
I passed advanced.
So that means it's not everybody. Some guys normally get intermediary and
Yeah.
like and
Yeah.
so
I will tell you a funny story though. Currently, I'm on intermediate.
okay.
Because what happened at my last grading shoot, you got to shoot 25-25. Now, one round drifted from my right-hand paper to my left-hand paper, one round, and everyone was gathered around. So the counselor that was governing the shoot had to put me onto
But
intermediate.
what's I'm taking you to a different little bit of a different topic, but what do you think that's going to happen now with this whole changeover with QCTO and Sasita taking over and PFTC and giving them another extension? And what would you like must happen? Because there's obviously there's this understanding that PFTC and you can say maybe ITA, that it's a little bit controlled and it's a private owned entity,
Mm.
where something shouldn't be private, where it should be back. And there's a lot of noise, you know what I'm saying? So where do you stand on this over here? Because For us, we just want to be able to process our stuff, empower the communities. But back in, there's a big fight that's getting on there. I don't know if you know about it.
Yeah. So look, every couple of years, the government comes after guns, private guns, whether it's
Mm.
security guns, whether it's civilian guns, but they come after guns. It's either they try to amend the Firearms Control Act, or they, try to put certain regulations on certain types of firearms. This is just the second most recent attempt that. It used to happen every 2 to 3 years. It's now happening a lot more frequently. But it's an attack on private firearm ownership.
Mm.
What they are trying to do is put it back in the hands of SASITA, which is a government, obviously,
Hmm.
entity. Now, SASITA used to have it, right? SASITA used to be in charge of
I
the
remember.
firearm licensing process, and it was a. Am I allowed to swear on the show?
Go ahead.
It was a
Yes.
shit show. I'm going to keep it just to
Yes.
entry level swearing. I usually swear quite a bit. I'm going to try keep it
Yeah.
PG. But it was a shit show. It was the record keeping was like a sieve. Guys, now if you did your training with SASITA, you can still use it to apply for competencies and that type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But if you don't have your original certificates, you're not getting them again. It
Mm.
was a massive process. It was long. It was arduous. It was a bad thing. It was a very, very, very bad state of affairs. Then the PFTC took over, private entity,
Mm-hmm.
100%, massively efficient, incredibly efficient.
I
Everything's
agree.
online, quick, easy. It's beautiful. It's well regulated. Look, they've closed down a lot of fly by nights,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously helps strengthen the industry. It helps strengthen the quality, and that that when you've got a person on the street with a firearm, that they've gone through the correct channels. So it closes the door for corruption and that type of stuff. I think that it's a ploy by government to want to take back control. It's going to take if that does happen, right, and SASITA takes it over again. I think that it's going to block a lot of new firearm owners into the field. It's going to block new security officers. There's going to be a lot less good guys with guns. It's going to make it a lot harder. You as a businessman, me as a business owner, it's going to definitely hit our pockets as well, because it's going to take way more resources and effort to train a person. The process is it's not going to be a straight line anymore. It's going to go all zigzag, and it's not going to be very efficient. We might have to post results to SASITA, and we know what happens whenever systems devolve. Whereas we
Mm.
could do it online, click, 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 submit. If we have to now deal with physical documents, it just
I'm
opens the door.
hoping that it does not turn out like that. But I mean, for us, we still have a chance. We still have a voice to basically advocate for that. If SASITA takes over, they need to meet certain requirements. They need to basically, first of all, give us the power to
Mm.
upload statement of results,
It must
because
be the same
it
or better.
must be
It
the same,
can't be
which
worse.
can't be worse.
Yeah.
If it goes back to where it used to be, where you have to wait for verification, like how
Mm.
I have to wait 3 months for my CPO training,
Mm.
that would be unacceptable. So my thing is, either it's better, then it's fine. But if it goes backwards, which I doubt it, because if I've seen Sira.
Hmm.
Sira has now upped their game
They have.
in terms of the online and what. So, and also I think that the pressure that SASITA has now with regards to the QCTO taking over now, and we have our last year now with CPO with SASITA. It's
Okay.
going to be moved on to QCTO. We all have to apply.
Mm.
So I think because of digital AI, things can't go back to how it was. But I just think it's a shift of power. Obviously, government obviously wants to be in control of it.
Yeah.
And that is something that we have to look at. But you know what? Us as business people, we go with the punches. Whatever happens, we have to make sure we are doing it to our best of ability. So, Mark, if I'm a new person to the firearms and I want to get a firearm, where do I start?
So basically, it's a 3-step process to go from having absolutely no knowledge or anything to being an armed civilian. It's step number 1 is going to be your proficiency training. Step number 2 is going to be competency, and then step number 3 is going to be licensing the specific firearm that you choose. So that's a broad overview of the 3-step process. I can go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
if you like.
So step 1, proficiency. What does that mean?
So basically, you need to decide what types of guns you'd like to license. So you can choose between handgun, shotgun, rifle, and semi-auto, as
Mm-hmm.
well as a mandatory legal module. The legal module speaks about the laws, the Firearms Control Act that governs firearms in South Africa, how to store your guns, when to shoot, when not to shoot, how to carry your gun, and all of that type of stuff. It's a fantastic book. It's very 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 good information. It's
What book is
genuine.
this?
That's the Knowledge of the Firearms Control Act
Okay.
Proficiency manual. Some very good reading in there. There's a little test that you'll do in there, and then you get to decide either to do a combination, which most guys actually kick themselves if they don't do the combination, because they more than likely find themselves back in our classroom after doing their handgun. Now they're like, you should have done shotgun and rifle as well. So you can decide. You can either just do handgun, or you can do just rifle, or you can do the combination. Each one of these books has got a little test, a self-study test that you complete at home. Once you are finished with those tests in the manuals that you've chosen, you book a date with us. You come and do a class. There's a little test that you do. You receive some practical training as well. There's a practical test that you shoot. That all happens on one day at our indoor shooting range. And then about a week to 2 weeks later, your portfolio gets processed and your proficiency certificates get issued. And that's step number one. So now you've got your proficiency certificates in
Okay,
hand.
let's stay on step number one. So basically, I want to get a firearm. The first thing is I come to my proficiency. So basically, it's training. It's actually you're going to teach me how to.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit in a class. I'm going to get some information, and I'm going to do some homework. I'm going to come back. And how many days does this take if I let's just say I'm doing it part time? I only have a few days a week, or maybe to
Yeah.
give.
Perfect, man. So look, we've got guys that can very happily go and sit and do it like in the evening. If you really sit there and apply. But I would say if you're doing it part time, let's say an hour a day, it'll take you, a week if you really want to, study everything, go through everything. You can very comfortably do it within a week. What takes people the longest time, and you probably find it as well, is the procrastination period, where guys will get the idea. Listen, we need a gun. They'll purchase the books, and then 9 months will go by because I'll do it tomorrow.
No, that's you.
I'll open my book tomorrow.
That's you. That's the usual.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to make sure that we understand that going forward is that they so then once they've done with the class, the shoot, then from there, how long does it take?
Look, with us, it takes, let's say, plus minus a week. We've got our own internal check. So obviously, the instructor and assessor that physically took you through the training needs to mark your portfolio, make sure that everything is as it should be. Then we've got our own internal processes where we have a second person check it just to verify that everything is correct. It then gets uploaded to the system. And your certificates get downloaded. We then notify you that your certificates are basically ready for collection. And then we offer the people assistance with step number 2. If you choose to use our services for step number 2, where we'll compile all of your SAP paperwork, cover letter, make sure that your character references and everything is sorted. Literally, we compile it in an envelope. We hand the envelope over to you to take to SAPS. Then we'll send you a mandate form. Before you come collect your certificates, we send you a form. You fill in your basic details. You send it back to us. We get your whole application pack ready. Then you can either come and fetch your application pack at our shop, or we can have it couriered off to you. You take that pack along with 2 ID photos, and I believe it's 87. And I must just check now. I've got my guys usually do the nitty-gritty. This is now 4 SAPs.
So we basically transition from step
From
1.
step 1 to 2. We're talking about step 2 now.
Yeah,
I kind of
no, it's fine. It's fine.
Naturally
So,
went in that direction.
so it's fine. So I'm just talking like I'm a newbie. I don't know anything, because it's sometimes confusing. People not proficiency, competency, license. It's just like, what's this all about? I just need a gun.
Yeah.
That's all they're interested in.
Yeah.
Is a safety protection
They
gun.
want the gun on their hip. Yeah.
Yes, that's all. So so just take us a little bit in step 1 with how the range, how many rounds are they shooting, and if I'm a bit scared to shoot, how does that look?
Cool. So, look, in our classes, we like to limit our classes to like 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
So we really like to keep that like kind of one-on-one environment where we run our classes as more of like a workshop, if that makes sense. So we want you to ask your questions. We don't want you to sit there. You pass, but you've actually still got a couple of questions. You're not 100% sure on certain things. So kind of like how we're sitting and chatting now, that's how our class goes. Before the test, so we run through all of the questions. We make sure that everyone knows exactly what's going on. We also make sure that you have a deep understanding of the more important principles, like the principle of self-defense. The
Mm.
three legal pillars have to be in place. It must be a threat to life. It must be unlawful, and it must be imminent. Ask questions. You've been in a situation where X, Y, and Z happened. Could I have shot? Could I not have shot? Was it necessary to shoot? And we have a very strong focus on our proficiency level training, but also our more advanced training on knowledge of the law. Situational and spatial awareness, and how to avoid being in a situation where you
Mm.
would potentially need to shoot. Because having a gun is not about being a Rambo. It's about instead of having to call somebody with a gun, you can be somebody with a gun, and your
Mm.
gun is there for self-defense. When the question, when the decision is, do I die or do I shoot? Does
Mm.
my family get raped and murdered, or do I shoot? Not do I lose a parking spot or an argument or shoot.
Mm.
That is not what your gun is there for, and we make sure that you have a deep understanding of that. Then, obviously, the practical side of things, we make sure that you understand all of the basics. We make sure that you have a firm grasp of the 7 fundamentals. We make sure that if you've got a flinch, we work that out. So anywhere out to around about 50 rounds for handgun, for example. Sometimes if you do need more instruction
Yes, one-on-one training.
and more training, then we do provide that. Because we've got such a small class, people that are really struggling, we ask them to stay behind a little bit where we can really take time. I mean, often our classes go past closing time for the guys that need that extra attention. So it allows us to give people what they need, and sometimes people need to come back. If they really 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 are struggling, it's very important that people, before we send you out there with a gun, that you're comfortable with it, you're confident with it, and you know when to shoot, you know when not to shoot, and if you need to shoot, you're going to be accurate enough, and you're going to be confident with your pistol craft, basically.
So, if I'm sitting or one of my family members is sitting on a fence, should I get a gun? Shouldn't I get a gun? The fear of, somebody's going to take the gun from me.
Mm.
And, so it's always that 50-50, glass half full, glass half empty.
Yeah.
What would, what would you tell them why they should?
Sure. Look, so we are not those people that try to bash, Rambo bash people. Say everyone must have a gun. Absolutely
Mm.
not. Guns are not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that if you are a upstanding member of society, you're a responsible, law-abiding citizen, and you would like to bolster your own safety, your family safety, and by proxy, society at large, then I think that you should be empowered to be able to do so. Now, for people sitting on the fence, look, reality is everybody believes in guns.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody believes in guns. Even Gun Free South Africa, they've got armed response. They've got guns protecting them. Some people just outsource their violence, right? So it's very easy to sit on your high horse and say that you don't believe in guns, and you're against guns. But I can promise you, the first thing that they're going to do when somebody breaks into their house and tries to rape and murder them,
Mm.
hello, police or
Mm.
private security, please send someone with a gun.
Mm.
It's the first thing that happens. So you can either call somebody with a gun, or you can be somebody with a gun.
So now we completed everything. So now explain to us, if I now need to get my competency, what does that mean? And why do I need to apply for competency? Why can't I just, if I finish training, why can't I just get my gun one time?
It's a very good question. So basically, the whole idea of step number one, right, proficiency, is you need to satisfy me as an accredited instructor that you're safe with a gun, you understand the laws, and you understand the basic handling and use of that firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I then sign off on that, and I say, listen, this guy has got the mental and physical knowledge. He's good. You then need to apply to the police for your competency certificate. There's a certain process that happens there. There's a background check that happens. They check your criminal record. They follow up with character references to make sure that you are in fact a fit and proper person, as according to the Firearms Control Act.
Mm-hmm.
You need to tick a couple of boxes there. They need to make sure that you are not a criminal. They need to make sure that you're not a danger to society. They need to make sure that you are well, what
So
is written in the law is fit and
what
proper
goes in that
person.
motivation, if I may ask, like if like
Yeah.
what does SAPS actually want from us?
So, SAPS has got a basic checklist, like a bare minimum checklist that basically you need to supply them. On that checklist is a completed SAPS 517 form, right? Which is your application for competency. You need 3 character references, you need a proof of address, and you need a certified copy of your training
It's
certificates.
just the character reference to, does it have to be your neighbors or can it be anybody?
Technically, it can be anybody. Every single police station does play by their own rules. So some people will say no, it has to be your neighbor from 3 doors down. Somebody else will say it has to be your spouse, partner, or family member. Someone else will say no, you have to get a letter from your local dentist. Man, we deal with the whole country, and every single police station has their own list of requirements. What we do is we go according to the strictest station. So let's say that there is a station in Klerksdorp that is ridiculously strict. We just build our applications to satisfy everybody. That's why we put a full money back guarantee on our applications. If you take your application into the police, some stations will actually take 1 or 2 of the additional documents that we put in there out. It's fine. We keep a digital copy and we still guarantee it. So if it gets refused, we will appeal it free of charge for you. We'll courier it off to the appeals board. We will basically fight that fight for you. Now, that's basically what goes in a bare minimum pack. What we do is we also wrap everything up with a nice cover letter explaining what's in the application and why you are a fit and proper person. We also give you character reference templates just to make things easier for you. And also, if you go to your DFO and there's problems with the application, we've got like a hotline number that you can call while you're at the station. Call the number, give the phone to the DFO, and we'll smooth it out with them. More often than not, it's just a pardon. It's just a misunderstanding. But that's all included in our service. So we want to make it as simple and efficient for you as possible. But the reason, once again, for step number 2 is the background check, just to make sure that you're not actually some scallywag that shouldn't be getting a gun. So not just anybody can go get a gun. You have to sit.
All right, so now I hand in the application. How long normally does the competency take?
So SAPS has got 90 days. Around the COVID time, they changed it to 120 days and then 120 working days. So it's it's kind of, you got the law, the Firearms Control Act, and then you've got amendments, and then on top of those amendments, you've got directives, which is different interpretations, call it. Now, SAPS works in cycles. Sometimes they take long, sometimes they take really quick. I mean, I'd say the average is about 3 months.
3 months.
Average is about 3 months.
Okay.
We've had clients wait a week. We've had clients wait obviously a lot longer than that. And there are, if our clients' applications are taking very, very long, then we give them a document that shows them how to follow up through the channels. But you can work it out roughly about 3 months.
And then how would I know that my competency is available?
So there's a very cool resource where you can actually track your competency application. Once your designated firearms officer captures your application, there's a C number, a C reference number. It begins with a C, and that is your application reference number. You take that number and your ID number, you plug it into the SAPS tracking portal, and it'll show you where in the process it is. But you should receive an SMS once your competency has been approved. It's still the old SMS that says that you must wait for your competency card to be printed. Your DFO will be in touch. No need to wait. You go straight to your DFO with that SMS, and they will give you an A4 printout, which is your competency. They don't do the cards anymore. They do A4 printouts now.
Okay, so once I get my competency, does my competency expire?
So if you have just got your competency by itself and you do not license a firearm in that class, so let's say you just get a handgun competency and you don't actually end up licensing a firearm, there's different interpretations of this. Realistically, 5 years.
5 years.
After 5 years.
Okay. So now, so at what point do I then buy my firearm and get the 271 from the dealer? Do I get it only after my competency, or can I do that before? Or what's your recommendation?
So you can purchase a firearm at any point. You can even purchase a firearm before you start step one. All that will happen is the dealer will hold on to the firearm until you can produce a valid license. Usually, what happens is after people have completed their proficiency, some people will purchase their firearm then. Some people will wait until their competency is approved and then purchase a firearm. But you need to purchase a firearm before you can actually proceed with step number 3 because it requires a specific serial number. So when you buy a gun, you think of it like this. You pay for the serial number and you get a free gun with your serial number.
Okay.
So then your paperwork will get issued after you've purchased the gun, and you can then proceed with step number 3, which is physically applying for that specific firearm license.
And how long does that normally take?
About 3 months as well at SAPS, roughly. It can be quicker. It can also be a bit longer. But it's the same basic procedure within SAPS as your competency. It's very, very similar.
So then do you also have to do motivations and
Yeah.
same letters again?
More,
Or
a lot more. So it's a much thicker pack. I should have actually bought packs worth. But the competency pack is maybe about yay big. Our license application packs are very, very big. So we offer a comprehensive service where we complete all of your SAPS paperwork. We consult with you and make sure that all of your attachments are correct, and we'll hammer you and pester you until you've sent us everything that you need to. So once you mandate us to help you, we don't just, kind of let you drift away.
so what's the bulk of the pack filled up with?
Motivation. The bulk of the pack is motivation.
So give us some sort of things in the motivation that you'd have to have for a normal,
So
like something interesting stuff.
So our motivations, besides obviously all of the supporting documents and the SAPS forms being filled in correctly, and we also offer a free consultation, our motivation is usually between about 40 to 70 pages. And the reason why it's so long is we block the police on every single one of their refusal reasons that they have on their system. So we are very, very how can I say, intimately familiar with all of the different refusal reasons that they physically have on their system, and we make sure that we block them on each and every single one of those. So different types of licenses are going to have completely different motivations. The 3 kind of bread and butter applications that South Africans have is a Section 13, which is a self-defense license, Section 15, occasional hunting or sport shooting, and then Section 16, dedicated hunting or sport shooting. This is now besides the collectors and the security and all of that stuff. Self-defense application, you need to provide substantial reasons why you need this firearm for self-defense. So you need to put in crime stats, which areas you drive to work, why the police and security aren't adequate to basically protect yourself. So you need to basically build a legal case. You need to really prove to the police that, listen, me in my personal capacity, I cannot secure my family's safety and my safety without the means of this firearm.
Okay.
And then you go, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. That's just
cool.
one aspect.
No, that's cool. But now, seeing that you did mention the Section 13, Section 15, and Section 16, obviously Section 13 is for your personal firearm. So what's the difference between Section 16 and Section 15? Why not just go straight to Section 16?
A lot of people do.
But then
a lot of people do. I'm one of them. I'm going to be honest with you. So what you do is you license a firearm for the primary use. So if I license a Section 13 firearm for the primary use of self-defense, there's nothing that prohibits me in the act from using that gun for sport shooting. And vice versa, if I license a handgun for sport shooting, as long as I stay within the confines of the law, I'm allowed to use that gun for any lawful purpose. So I can most certainly use a Section 16 firearm to shoot in self-defense should the need arise. And in Section 15, the limitations, basically.
Yes,
Section 13, it's a 5-year license. You've got a limitation of 200 rounds of ammunition. There's no fancy hoops that you need to jump through for that. So you don't need to belong to a club or anything like that. So it's the easiest license to get. Section 15, occasional hunting or sport shooting, 10-year license, limited to 200 rounds of ammunition. You technically don't have to belong to a club or an organization, although it makes your life easier. If you join up with Nat Shoot or something, it's like $400 a year, massive benefit. We highly recommend it. Some police stations will fight you on it. So if you rock up with your Section 15 application and you don't have a club membership, some stations will give you nonsense for it. There's nothing in the act that says that you need to have a membership for that. Membership is only for dedicated, which is also a 10-year license, but you can have unlimited rounds of ammunition. So if you're a dedicated sport shooter and you need to buy 1,000 shotgun rounds for your clay pigeon shooting, and you get a better price on it, you can make use of that.
Okay.
Now, within each one of these sections, there is what they call the lawful use clause. So it's copy and pasted, section 13, 15, and 16. And what it says there is a firearm licensed in this regard may be used where it is safe to do so and for any lawful purpose. Another section of the Act states that you may have any firearm on your person as long as you have a valid license. It is in a holder or a holster designed for the carrying of the firearm, and the firearm is completely covered. So what this means is I am fully within my rights to have a Section 16 pistol on me as long as I have a valid license. It's in a holster or something adapted for the carrying of the gun. I can't just have it shoved into my pants or my pocket, and it must be completely covered. If then I happen to be walking past a shooting range, I'm walking past your offices here, you guys have got a very nice indoor shooting range, and I decide, let me go pay Rafi a visit, and I want to go shoot some rounds. It's a lawful use, and I'm doing it in a safe environment. Perfect. Let's say I leave here, somebody tries to stick a knife into my neck in the street. I'm allowed to use any means at my disposal to defend myself, including
Your
my
sports fight.
sporting firearm. Exactly. And I've actually used this gun several times in self-defense situations. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. The law is very clear on it.
So tell me, if you don't have a Section 13, can you go right up to Section 16
Yes.
without?
Without having a Section 13 firearm, yeah.
Okay.
Nothing that prohibits that.
So that means you won't have a personal firearm.
You will have a personal firearm. It just won't be for the primary use of self-defense. It'll be for the primary use of dedicated sport shooting, but you're allowed to use it for any other lawful purpose. Now, luckily, we have a very, very, very strong constitution in South Africa. We're a very young nation. We've got a very liberal constitution. I say liberal in a good way.
Yeah. Because I have both. So I'm like thinking what would you recommend if somebody is going to want to buy many guns, and they starting out, should they start out one primary Section 13 and then dedicated sports on the others, or just go everything dedicated sport? And what do you think would be?
So look, it's very important that you do not lie in your application, and you do not misrepresent yourself to the police. So although you are allowed to use your Section 16 weapon for any lawful purpose, if your honest intent is, listen, I'm not going to do much sport shooting with this, I just want it for self-defense, I would say not a bad idea to just get a self-defense pistol as your primary, and then your secondary you can license under Section 16. There's a massive benefit to having more than one pistol. And that is, if you do end up having to use your firearm to defend your life or your family's life, there's a very good chance that, according to procedural-based law, your firearm will be taken for ballistics, and it will remain with the police until that case is wound up. Now, scenario, you're at home, 5 guys, attack your house, they try and rape and murder your family, whatever it might be. I mean, we it's the reason why wise guys are so flippant successful is there's a big crime problem.
It's a big.
And you guys are, one of the people that are really, solving that.
I want late when we're done with this, we'll discuss a little bit what went on there with Mr. Ramaphosa and Mr. Trump and what they spoke about. We'll end off on that, but
hundreds.
But we know there's a crime problem,
a massive crime problem. So to come back to this scenario now, you have to shoot 2 people in self-defense, right? 3 of them get away. Your gun goes into ballistics, but you've only got 1 gun. So now you're sitting there unarmed with your family, and you've got people with potential vendetta against you. This is where having additional firearms will play into your hand, and you won't be left
That's an
high and
interesting point. I never thought about that. So if you disarm your firearm, they will come collect your firearm.
Most of the time, especially if somebody's hit. It's procedural-based law. So this is why many people will get charged, for example. If you are, if you defend yourself, you shoot somebody, depending on, the police officer that opens up the docket, it might be a murder case, it might be an attempted murder case, or if the guy knows what he's doing, it'll probably be an inquest docket. But a firearm must be taken, especially if somebody's shot.
All right, no. So just let me wrap up the understanding of how to get a firearm. Step one, it's the proficiencies. That's where you come and do your training at your training center, and you do the training. That's basically, and then you get a certificate from you.
Correct.
Step two is you take that certificate with a pack, where you can get a consultation with you, and you guys do the proficient, where you do the competencies. That's
Yeah.
step two.
So we give you a competency application pack, which then goes into the police.
So I then physically take that to my nearest police station. I hand
Yes.
that in, I pay whatever 80, 100 rand, and then I wait about 3 months.
Roughly, yes.
Roughly 3 months.
Yes.
In that time, I then go search for a gun.
Yeah.
I purchase the gun. And once my competency come, I then take, again, you give me another pack number 2.
Yeah.
And then I hand that in also by SAPS. And then I wait roughly about 3 months.
Roughly, yeah.
Once I get my card or my license,
Yeah.
I then can go to the dealer and collect my firearm.
Correct.
Oh, that's easy, guys.
Simple as that.
That's simple as that. But now just I want to go a little bit about the amnesty. Explain to some of the people, because I get a lot of questions. People asking me, what, guys, my gun license expired. What do I do? And you know what? Also, some of the guys that lost their green cards.
Yeah.
What do they do? So just a little bit about that.
Yeah. So look, there's been a couple of firearm amnesties throughout history, recent history, and technically, it was improper use of an amnesty. An amnesty deals with unlawful firearms. So it's a period where SAPS basically says, listen, guys, from this date to that date, you can basically come in, hand in any unlawful firearms that you're in possession of, and you won't get prosecuted for the possession of that firearm. Obviously, it does go through a ballistic check to see if it is linked to murders and whatnot. Thereof, you obviously will be prosecuted. Not a single unlawful firearm was actually handed in under those amnesties. It was improperly used, and it was put in place. I think there were 2 or 3 in recent years where people with expired firearm licenses could basically hand in their firearms, apply for a new license. Thereafter, they go and take their license card, show it to SAPS, and they take their firearm home. A court case or 2 court cases and a directive was basically put out since then that allows people to essentially, and I'm going to do this with my hands when I say renew the expired licenses, because it's not actually a renewal process. It's a new license application where if you've got an expired license, you sign your paperwork as the current owner and as the new owner.
Yes.
So it's a new license application that you're doing. You've been told to keep your firearm at home, locked away in the safe, so you can't use your firearm after it's expired, right? Because the Firearms Control Act is quite clear on that you need to have a valid license to be able to basically use that firearm, so to have it on you and whatnot.
So just so if my license is about to expire, when do I apply? And if I applied and it expired and my new license didn't come, what's the way forward with that?
So how the Firearms Control Act was written is it gives you a 90-day period before the date of expiry that you need to apply for your renewal. And then the police on the other side are given 90 days to basically process that license. So you can see in a perfect world, everything lines up, but that's obviously not how it happens. So we still recommend that you, as a private citizen, follow the law as far as possible. So get your application in before the 90-day period.
How long before would you recommend?
I would say 4 months before. So 120 days,
120 days.
just in case there's a delay in getting a document or whatever it might be. I would say 4 months, 120 days pretty much is going to put you.
So again, I need that pack
You're
number.
gonna need the pack, yeah.
Again.
Also, so what we've done, we've actually developed a nice app where we track our clients' application or licenses for them. So it can be a little bit of a ball ache, for lack of a better word, if you do let your license lapse. Because now you can't use the gun, you can't carry it, you can't buy ammunition or whatever. So we'll notify you 6 months before the time and say, hey, listen, chap, your license is going to expire. You need to basically submit a renewal pack into the police, very similar looking to a new license application. You need to once again prove to them that, listen, guys, I've had this license for the last 5 or 10 years. This is the reason I gave to license it. This is my proof. For example, I've been taking part in sport shooting. and this is my application, this is my motivation. I intend to use it for the same purpose for the next 10 years.
Okay.
So it's not just to say that, listen, I've had the gun for the last, 30 years. Give me a license. No, no, no. You need to
Motivate it
you
properly.
need to motivate it, because the police can refuse it. If you put in a weak application, they can refuse it. If you have failed to convince the registrar that there's a lawful need for the firearm, they will refuse it. So don't become arrogant at that point. We are very, very, very pro citizen rights. We are very, very pro civil rights. But you need to play ball. You need to play the game, and that requires a solid application pack. Yeah.
No, but I think we covered the whole basis here. Just the last thing that on there, if somebody now is going overseas and they no longer need their firearm, what's the way?
So permanently, like immigrating type vibe, or
Immigrate, and they want to like give up their firearms.
are they going to visit? So what I would recommend
What
is,
would you recommend? Yeah.
if you are not planning on coming back ever, sell your guns to a dealer. It's the quickest, easiest. Gunnery, for example, will make you a fair price on the spot. They'll negotiate. You come
So
to
I
an
can come in
agreement.
with my firearm.
Yeah.
They'll make me an
Yeah,
offer.
definitely. There's a 534 form that gets signed. You hand over your license and you sign
Same
it into
time.
the book same day.
Same day.
It takes about a week or two to get that gun physically off of your name, but the paperwork and stuff gets done immediately. You'll get your money immediately, and
Deal done.
deal done.
Wow, that's,
Simple as that.
That's I think that covered all the bases. But now coming back with I just want to end off on one or two more things. Yourself, what situations have you encountered with a firearm? Any crime?
Yeah.
Seeing that crime is such a huge thing in South Africa.
It's a massive thing, and I think back in the day, kind of between, call it 94 and
Have you ever been gun pointed at any point?
gun pointed. Sure, I have to go back in my memory now.
I've been gun pointed once in Johannesburg, in Randburg.
I've never been gun pointed. I've come across several knives before. Couple of guys have tried to rob me with knives and stuff. I've had that several times, but never
But that's
gun
good.
pointed.
I mean, that's good. I mean,
Never gun
it's
pointed.
about preparing for that day.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I don't know if you know David Goggins. He says,
Love David Goggins.
Yeah, so it's like it's what is people preparing for? It's life. I
Life,
mean, every
yeah.
day you need to be
100%.
prepared.
And bettering yourself. And we were speaking now about all the books and stuff that it prepares you mentally, and you need to get prepared physically as well. Crime has gotten out of control completely. It's like I was saying, from the years of like, let's say 94 to like 2004, it was pretty good. Things were looking up for South Africa, and after that, man, it just took an absolute dive. And I mean, we got one of the highest murder rates in the world. We're constantly teetering out of that like number one position, especially Cape Town. We got a lot of gang violence.
And how did you find the whole? I mean, in the news when you heard Mr. Trump and Ramaphosa talking about the farm murderers, and then Johan Rupert said no. The Cape Flats is the worst. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's the killings is all over. It's not the race base. It's just a crime base, and
crime is such a complex thing, and you've got different crimes that are committed for different reasons. You've got guys that are genuinely just hungry because there's no opportunity for them. These are the guys that will rob you with a rusty screwdriver or steal your tap or whatever. Then you've got guys that are motivated by greed, and then you've obviously got hate crimes. You do get hate crimes as well. So you need to look at that from a wider kind of macro view. And I think that there's a whole bunch of different crimes. Murder can be murder out of cheating wife. It can be a robbery gone wrong. It can be a business partner thing. It can be I'm a right-wing extremist, or I'm a left-wing extremist, and I hate a certain group because of how they look. I think that there's it's all kind of it's all murder at the end of the day, and it's all crime, and you need to protect yourself from that.
But I don't want to make the people feel that us as South Africans, we love our country. What I mean? So we love our city. We love and it's a beautiful place. I mean, even so though in all that madness, there's such good things that's happening in the country also. So it's not like when the people listening to this that there's no hope.
There is hope. Get a gun. No, I'm just joking.
I know. So it's
a great place.
It's a great place.
The freedoms that we have here, the people that we have here, the connections that we have here, I think are absolutely spectacular. And I think that there's not a lot of countries in the world that give us the lifestyle that we have here. We speak to a lot of different people, from all walks of life. People that are well traveled. We speak to CEOs of listed companies. We speak to taxi drivers. We speak to everybody. And two things that come up in the thousands of people that we've trained over the years is, number one, life is about balance. That always comes up. And South Africa is not as bad as people say.
Definitely. I
It's
mean,
what you make of it.
if you saw Johan and all those guys that were there representing us, they love South Africa.
Yeah.
They made their millions there. They don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they understand it is a crime problem. It's not
Yeah.
a race thing. There's no genocide for some race. It's just everybody's affected by it. Whether
time.
you in the Cape Flats or you're on the farms of Eastern Cape or you in it's all over. But it's still beautiful. But okay, Mark, just tell what keeps you. How do you keep sharp? Like you're saying, like are you an avid reader? Do you keep yourself motivated with books, podcasts? What with your we all love your social media that you're doing.
Thanks, man.
And we wish you the best. I mean, guns and a gun license. We hope to I see established in 2017, and long may it live. So just tell like give us some advice, like how what keeps you motivated and driven
Yeah.
on a day-to-day and a week-to-week basis.
First of all, I'm gonna just say right back at you. You guys are doing a flipping very, very good job with. I mean, this I was well impressed when I walked in here and I saw. It's not just a little corner. It's a full-on studio that you guys have got. A lot of I can see that a lot of intention was put in here. So I'm really, really keen to see where this podcast goes. I think that it's a really good gap that you're filling here. So well done for doing that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, man. And likewise yourself.
Thanks, man. We're getting there. We don't have as snazzy a studio yet, but maybe someday.
No, but it's-
maybe we'll invite you on ours.
Yes, no, but it's about people don't understand. It's about it's about bettering yourself, your future self. So I always tell my the like you saying, like if I'll show you some pictures of how my office looked before and how where we started out. We started out with very much really nothing. We basically self-funded the thing right up until 15 years now. So it's
Very
kind of
cool.
so it's kind of like my idea was that rather what the skill set that you have and the knowledge that you have, give it to the market. Be as honest and fair as possible, because people can see through that.
100%.
They obviously know if you're ethical, if they know that you worry about their problems, if they're gonna pay you, they believe in you and they understand that that Mark is somebody that is somebody of his word. And even if he messes up, he knows he's gonna fix it, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because if I tell you I'm gonna do something for you and I can't make it, I'll tell you, Mark, and when I tell you I can't do it, you will understand I feel your problem.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
You got one name.
You got one name. You can't. And that's ultimately what kept us going. It's our name. You need to be honest in the society. If you mess up, tell the guys. Give the guys a call. If you owe them money, if you took a loan from them, if they helped you with something, if there was a promise that you can't keep.
Yeah.
People want to be validated.
And you also have to provide value. There's a book I'm reading now. It's called the Personal MBA. And it's really, really interesting. I mean, you obviously avid reader yourself. Definitely recommend it. It's bite-sized chunks of just hard information and value delivery. Man, you have to deliver value. You have to deliver more value. Let's say you're charging 100 Rand for a service or a product. You have to deliver more than 100 Rand's value for that to be a good transaction. And but
no, I mean, so what books do you recommend for somebody that's starting out that wants to start and grow a business? And
sure, man, as many as possible. I would say you obviously don't want to bombard your mind with too much nonsense. I'd say books that stood out for me. Sure, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I really, really, really like
Nice
that book.
book.
It's a very, very cool book.
It's a cool book.
It's a bit of like a clickbaity title.
yes, but I listened to his podcast. Cool.
Really cool book. Tools of Titans, another book that he did, very, very good.
Nice.
This personal MBA book that I'm reading now is really, really, really quite cool. And then South African authors, Bruce Whitfield, he's got a couple of cool books about South Africa and how to kind of thrive in the chaos. Yeah, sure, man. There's so many.
And any good
Yeah.
podcasts that you following or?
Podcast. So Tim Ferriss has got a good one. Joe Rogan's got some interesting guys on, especially fitness, fighting, that
Joe
type of
Rogan's the
stuff.
king, my man. He's the king of the
So
podcast.
he's got some super cool guys. I don't listen to every episode. I kind of cherry pick them. Who else?
But there is an app that you can listen to podcasts and it clips the voice and the notes, and you can actually just.
That's actually quite cool. So I listen on Antenna Pod.
I'll send you the thing, but it's quite costly, man. You have to pay like extra.
No.
They charge you, but then you have it all summarized, and
That's
you can
interesting, actually.
then you actually get the notes of the podcast, and you can actually get the key points of it. And
Okay.
then basically, so sometimes we're busy and we're trying to listen.
Of course. But there's so many other guys as well. Like I really like the South African guys. Like that Vusi Tembugwayo has got a
he's
very cool podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, it kind of just started a point, and I think the big thing is constantly sharpen your sword. Constantly
100%.
sharpen your sword. Try and always be reading something. Try and always be following a kind of podcast. Whether you're gymming or whatever it might be, which is also a very, very, very important thing. Look after yourself physically. There's a book I read a while ago by a guy called.
Now you just feel better when you.
Man, it's amazing, man, and just invest in yourself.
100%, just 1% better each week or each month.
Yeah,
just that's all it is. And even if my thing is sometimes you get 1% better, and then you get a little bit of a crisis. Then you go like 5 steps back.
Yeah.
Don't be despondent. A lot of the people they stay and they complain.
Yeah.
You can change your mindset. That's
you're the master of your own destiny.
You're the master. It's either if you argue for your limitations, you get them.
Yeah, 100%. But also if you push and you realize like what you're capable of. I mean, I'm quite a how can I say, a student of history. So you read a lot about like the concentration camps and like Man's Search for Meaning and
yes,
stuff. Very, very good. Viktor Frankl, very, very good book.
Top book, yeah.
I'm actually busy reading the Gulag Archipelago as well. I had to put that down a little bit because, geez, bro, it's dark.
No, cool. No, I'll share you some book recommendations. But yeah, no, so really reading. I always tell reading and running.
Yeah.
It's something that running it tests you properly. You know what I mean? How far you can push yourself.
It's important for brain health, actually.
Yeah.
So number one, they say important for brain health is physical exercise. Then they say social connection, chatting like this, with other people. And then comes like sleep, therapy, diet, all of that type of stuff. Just that social connection. Anyway, we can get into it's gonna take a lot more.
But anyways,
time
Mark,
if we chat about that.
where can the guys find you?
So we just check out our website, gunlicense.co.za. Everything is going to be on there. Our social media links, email addresses, phone numbers, absolutely everything. Links to our YouTube channel. Any questions, we've got an AI chatbot on there. So anything that you need, you can find on our website, gunlicense.co.za.
There we go. All right.
There it is.
All right, Mark. Thanks a lot for your time. We appreciate you coming to the show, and all the best. Maybe we do it again sometime. Take care, man. Thanks.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.